Hello, Janice.
Hello, Anthony.
Today, let's talk about how to change your probate lawyer. And this is one of our real world examples. And as always, we anonymize to protect the privacy of our clients. So Linda, this happens a lot, by the way, but Linda started her case with another probate attorney and then sort of realized along the way that that other attorney wasn't so great. Her words, not mine.
Right.
And she actually had much harsher words. I'm kind of toning it down.
She did. She had lots of harsher words. Yes.
So she wanted to change attorneys, and because this happens quite often, we're going to give you a look into how that works and what are some of the steps involved. And in many ways, Janice, before we get started, this is kind of a double-edged sword for us because it's nice to get, as a general rule of thumb, I'm going to give you a sneak peek behind the curtain. As a rule of thumb, attorneys don't like to take clients who are firing a prior attorney. Have you seen that as well?
Oh, definitely. Yes. For many reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of a red flag that potentially the client is difficult. I totally get that it could be the other way around, but it's just something happened that caused
you just question it a little.
Yeah. Something happened that caused a shakeup. Yeah. And do you want to be the next shakeup? Who knows? So it is a bit of a red flag. But on the other side, when we do get a client who has legitimately been aggrieved by a prior attorney, they're actually super grateful to be working with, a good attorney like us.
Yes. Yep. Which is the case in this particular case.
So let's jump into Linda's example. Okay. So Linda hired and I'm doing air quotes, a flat fee probate attorney for some, kind of ridiculously low fee. So she was like, oh, what a great deal. I'm glad I found this person. After 9 months, nothing had happened. And that's when Linda kind of finally realized not only had the lawyer not done much, he didn't really know what he was doing. For example, her first attorney hadn't notified any heirs, hadn't collected any of the sort of bare bones basic information he really would have even needed to begin preparing the paperwork, sort of indicating he didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
So that sort of spurred Linda into action to, Google and whatever, find us, however she found us. And she wanted to switch. She wanted to switch, number one. And number two, she wanted to get back as much of her flat fee as possible. She felt kind of ripped off.
Sure.
And
9 months, that's a long time for Probate 101 to not have been started.
Yeah. As we are working on now.
Okay. Right.
So let's start with, so how do you change lawyers in the middle of a case? So if the prior lawyer hasn't really done much work yet, that's pretty easy, right?
Sure.
You say, hey, stop working or stop not working.
Stop not working. Yes.
And
continue doing what you're doing and we'll take it from there.
and we'll take over. And so there's not much there, but it gets a little bit more complicated if the lawyer has put in some time, has set up the file, has done any filings with the court. It definitely, there's more twists and turns, which we'll talk about. So you need to make your choice wisely. Because if you have a lawyer who you don't love, right, but he's close to the finish line, even if you've kind of hated the process the whole way, it might not be worth switching, right?
Right.
All right. So let's move on to how do we transfer a case from one lawyer to another? How does that logistically work, right? So, okay, if the case has progressed to the point where the first lawyer has actually filed something with the court, that makes them what's called an attorney of record. That makes them the your official attorney in the eyes of the court. So you can't just change willy-nilly. You need to notify the court, and you need sort of almost the court's permission to switch attorneys. It's not a big deal,
Absolutely.
But it is something the court has to sort of authorize. So in order to do that, you need signed paperwork from both the old attorney and the new attorney and yourself. All three of you all need to sign a new set of documents sort of saying, hey, we all agree that we're switching attorneys. So here's why that's important. You now are in a position where you need something from the old attorney.
Yes.
So don't call them cussing and swearing right now.
Not yet. Well, don't do it at all. But no,
well, yeah,
it's a bad time to start. No. You still have to be nice.
Because even though you're upset with them, and even though they probably you believe they didn't do a great job, and they may have not earned whatever they've taken from you, we actually still need something from them to actually consummate the transfer. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And this is still the time you're polite and you get that signature.
Yeah. Now, if the old attorney knows what they're doing and they're aware of this, they won't sign that change paperwork until all their invoices have been settled up. So this is where you might have to grit your teeth.
Yes.
It's almost like you're paying to get out of the relationship.
Yeah.
Does that sound unpleasant?
It does.
Accurate?
Absolutely. Especially if they've done a little work, albeit not a lot, but they might still have an invoice.
And you might totally disagree with the invoice and say, there is no way I'm paying, $300 for him to have read my emails complaining about him,
Right. Right.
But if this is where you need to make your decision. Is it has he been so bad, and is there so much work left to be done that you want to work with somebody competent that it's worth just paying this exit fee? Well, let's call it. Oh gosh, it hurts me to even say it that way, but I'm just trying to give you the reality of how things work.
The reality, yeah. You kind of have to look at it like weigh it out. Yeah. Does it outweigh what it's going to take to stay in the case versus getting out and having a new lawyer take over and finish it up?
Totally. And it's not just the change of attorney documentation we need the prior attorney to sign. We also need to get the file from them, right?
Oh, that's fun.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite jobs with your...
Now, you might be wondering, hey, can't you just pull that from the court? Yes, to an extent. But if the prior attorney has a bunch of original death certificates or maybe even the original will, these are things that we need to get from them, right?
Right.
And in many cases, because of, let's call it the current situation with society,
yes.
it might be easier to get it from somebody, to have the prior attorney email it to you than to go down to the court, which is, it's very hard to go into the court. You really can't just walk in now. You have to make an appointment, and it might be easier.
Very complex.
Yes, it can be complicated.
Yes. It was originally, and now with our current environment, it's now even harder to simply walk in and get something done. Yeah. Yes.
And again, your prior attorney might have some birth certificates, some things that it would be, we need.
Right. And it's much harder than you think, especially now, to gather these originals all over again, which you've already done in the first place, 9 months ago?
9 months ago. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to, are the lawyer's retainer fees refundable, whatever you paid your prior attorney? And I'm going to give you the short answer, and then I'll go into it. The short answer is technically yes, but usually not.
That's, okay. All right.
So yeah, technically in New York State, for example, you're not allowed, lawyers are not ethically permitted to have what's called a non-refundable retainer. How is it in Pennsylvania, by the way?
Same. I think it's like that everywhere. Although it's in most attorneys' contracts, it's really, it doesn't work.
So lawyers are not allowed to say, give me $2,000 to get started, but that's my money as soon as you give it to me. That's just not permissible. However, in reality, unless you literally change your mind the day after you sent the check, most lawyers will have generally done enough work to have, earned the retainer. Does that make sense?
It does. Just your first initial phone call, gathering the information, maybe a couple calls to the court. It actually goes a little quicker than you would think as far as, working away at that retainer. So there really may not be anything that wasn't used per se. Yeah,
and this is totally legitimate. When we set up a new
absolutely.
case, setting up the case, like understanding what's going on and getting information, that takes time.
It does. It does. You're gathering information and documents, and it's not a quick process of just opening your manila file and sticking some stuff in there.
Yeah, the transfer of knowledge. I wish I could just do like a mind meld or whatever with the client or the prior attorney and just instantaneously know what's going on. But it just doesn't work that way. Yeah. So I think that's all we have on this topic. Hopefully this helps folks who are considering swapping out from a prior attorney. This information may help you realize, let me just grit it out because I'm almost done, or the cost and the headache you're describing is not worth it for me. I don't love my current attorney, but I might want to, it's worth staying. Or maybe I've made it clear to you that there is an exit and you might want to use it. So hopefully this helps anyone in that situation.
Absolutely. And, on the other side of that, this should also help for those that haven't hired anyone yet to maybe do their homework, right? Any attorney or anyone could say they do something, but maybe, check into a little bit, see if they have experience. And, I talked about before, how many probates, administrations have you done over the years? Hundreds, thousands, lots of them. So this is definitely something that you do. You may want to look into that when you're doing the initial hiring, which could help all of this. And if you want to know how probate works, I would definitely suggest Anthony's book, available on Amazon, How Probate Works. That's but it's going to show you what goes into all of this. This isn't a simple process that just anyone can do.
Very good. I think that's all we have for today. Thank you, Janice, as always. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll talk again next time.
Talk soon.
Bye now.